It's the ITV Lunchtime News.
How Team GB sailors started a medal rush in Tokyo with 2 golds.
Right on the line, Great Britain win the medal race.
The first win on the water was for Dylan Fletcher and Stuart Bithell.
From the age of 12, he wanted a gold medal, and it's happened.
That success quickly followed by Giles Scott, who defended his Olympic title by battling back to golden glory. With 4 silvers, 2 and a diving bronze, it's the most medals Great Britain has won in a day at these games so far. Also ahead, drug deaths in England and Wales hit a record high. 200 death threats a day, the online abuse suffered by Jack Grealish's girlfriend.
It's young girls, like I go on these girls' accounts who have sent me stuff and they're literally like 13, 14 and it's so sad, like.
And what a welcome home for our Olympic winners, the swimmers, who finally get to celebrate with their family and friends.
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Nina Hossain.
Good afternoon. 8 medals and counting, the most medals won in a day at the 2020 Olympics so far. Team GB sailors started with a splash, clinching 2 golds and a silver. Both the men and women's track cyclists missed out on gold, but a silver for both teams led to Jason Kenny equalling Sir Bradley Wiggins' record of the country's most decorated Olympian. America's greatest gymnast, Simone Biles, is back, winning bronze in her dramatic return to the Olympics after she pulled out of some events to focus on her mental health. And just a minute ago, Keely Hodgkinson has just won silver in the 800 metres for Great Britain. We'll get reaction from our sports editor Steve Scott in Tokyo in just a minute. First, with the medal frenzy for the Brits, here's Sangeeta Lal.
Great Britain must keep clear.
There was a glimmer of gold on the horizon for Team GB. And in the last few excruciatingly tight seconds of the race, Dylan Fletcher and Stuart Bithell made sure it was theirs.
The gold medal in Tokyo 2020.
From Bithell's sailing club near Rochdale, his parents held their breath as the pair inched towards the finish line.
This feels a lot better now she's got a glass of wine in front of her.
Yes, I do, yes. Yes. From the age of 12, he wanted a gold medal, and it's happened.
And the golden day for Great Britain continued. Giles Scott started the final race with a 9-point lead, meaning he needed to finish in the top 5 to get his gold, and he just did.
Giles Scott, right at the last moment, crosses the
This week has been an incredible week of racing, and I really feel like I've put together the best, certainly 5 days of fleet racing I ever have at a major event.
And adding to Britain's medal tally today, Jack Law won bronze in the men's 3-metre springboard final.
Oh, he's making a play.
Great Britain's reign as Team Pursuit champions ended today, though, as Charlie Tanfield and Frederick Madsen crashed out of the semi-final.
But that is why it always pays to look where you're going.
And after a decade of British dominance in Olympic track cycling, today Germany took the lead in the women's team pursuit and the gold, with Team GB in silver medal position. In the men's team sprint, it was a silver too. Hoping to win Britain's first boxing gold of these games, Pat McCormack, who instead today claimed silver.
Pat McCormack gave it absolutely everything. He's acquitted himself very well indeed.
And returning to the stage this morning for the US, Simone Biles competed for the first time since announcing she needed to protect her mental health. She won bronze in the beam final, an emotional return to the Games, but one that ended with a smile. Sangeeta Lal, ITV News.
Shall we take a quick update look at the Olympic medal table then from Tokyo? And Team GB are now back up to 5th place, overtaking the Russian Olympic Committee and just 1 gold medal away from Australia, who are currently in 4th. Well, let's get an assessment from our sports editor, Steve Scott, who is in Tokyo. Steve, it's been a hugely busy day, including in the last few minutes a silver in the women's 800 metres final.
Yeah, what a great run it was too, and I think it's worth pointing out to start with that it's remarkable to have 3 British women in an athletics event final, but Keely Hodgkinson it was who won the battle of the Brits, coming in 2nd place. Gemma Reekie just missed out on a bronze there, and I think this is a real shot in the arm for the British athletics team, who've been having a pretty miserable time of it, failing to get through heats, lots of injuries. Adam Jamili today, full starts all over the place, so this will really get them up and running. Elsewhere, as we've just seen, a great day for the sailors. 2 golds, just as we were promised yesterday by the chef de mission, Mark England, and then history made in the velodrome. We mustn't forget, though, that Britain relinquished 3 Olympic titles in the velodrome today, but Jason Kenny, as we've just heard, becomes Britain's most decorated Olympian. Yes, he drew level with Bradley Wiggins, but because he's got 1 extra gold, I think we'll give him that title. But maybe the most significant, certainly the most emotional part of the day was Simone Biles' return to action, I think, in the gymnastics venue. She said she wanted to do it to prove something for herself. She wasn't expecting a medal at all, but she ended up getting that bronze. And I'm pretty sure that will probably be, at the end of these games, the most popular bronze of the games.
Yeah, what a watch that was. Steve Scott, thank you very much. Thank you. Well, someone who knows all too well what it's like to be an Olympic hero is one Sally Gunnell, the athlete who won gold in Barcelona, and spent the morning watching some of the action from Tokyo at the Olympic Park in London, and I'm delighted to say that she joins me now. Sally, we were just watching you watch that 800 metres final just a few minutes ago, a silver and very nearly a bronze. So great for the next generation of runners who are watching it with you.
It certainly is. I mean, Keely is only 19 years old. To come here, break a British record and to get that silver medal, she is inspiring so many people here. You know, I'm just out the track at Newham. You know, this is about the community. It's about National Lottery funding. And it's just, this is where it starts. And people like Keely winning that medal is just so inspiring for all our next generation of athletes and just sports people and what they're doing out there in Tokyo.
Look, that's where it starts. Sometimes for the real grafters, the lucky few, the best of the best, it ends up in Tokyo. How much will that silver inspire our athletes there right now? We've seen injury worries, we've seen people pulling out. It's been a bit of a disappointing start to track and field for Team GB, hasn't it? If you compare the athletes with the swimmers and the sailors and the likes.
Yeah, it has been, and you know, luck hadn't been on our side. We are sometimes hoping it, you know, you do reflect if someone like Dean, who had got a good start to them, it reflects on everybody else. So we have been waiting for that medal. It's come now by Keely, and I really hope, you know, we've got Laura going in the 1500, we've got another guy's got through to the semi, so we've got chances still, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. It's been a difficult couple of years, like so many other sports, and there's been a lot of changes in UK athletics, but we really hope that we can see a few more medals coming our way in track and field.
Yeah, and it was glorious to see that silver for sure. Look, at an inspiration in another way is Simone Biles. She, as our sports editor was just saying, was back in action today. She won bronze. What do you make of her Tokyo journey?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's going to be tough for them. Anybody that's out there, you know, it's been a hard preparation for the last couple of years. But I really hope, you know, we have got those opportunities, and I'm sure she has as well. So I really do hope that we're going to see something come forward. You know, you get into that final, and anything can happen.
OK, Sally Gunnell, thank you very much for your thoughts on everything we've seen so far, and enjoy the rest of the Olympics. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
And we'll have more on the Olympics later on in the programme. after a long journey home, there's been quite a welcome for some of our gold-winning swimmers.
I thought seeing my family at the airport was, emotional. This is just more than I could ever ask for.
Before that, drugs deaths in England and Wales have hit a record high. It follows an increase in Scotland last week. Our health editor, Emily Morgan, is here. Can you take us through these figures then, please?
Yes, of course I can. And they're not good. They've increased again for the 8th year in a row. The Office for National Statistics says that last year in 2020, 4,561 deaths were related to drug poisoning. That's the highest number since records began in 1993. And it's an increase of 3.8% on the year before. Now, those figures cover fatal accidents, suicides, and complications involving prescription and over-the-counter drugs. Now, that's significant because half of the deaths involved opiate medication, so something like fentanyl or codeine, which is really significant, and a rise. Again, another surprise, nearly 800 of the deaths were related to cocaine. Again, a 10% rise. As always, men suffer the most. Two-thirds of the deaths were male, and in the most deprived areas of England, they also suffer the most. So the northeast had the most deaths.
In the middle of a global pandemic, this really sounds like another health emergency. What is going to be done to try and change this situation?
It is a real crisis, and it's a real complex problem, but it is one the government says is an absolute priority for them. Sajid Javid, when he was Home Secretary, commissioned this massive report into the misuse of drugs. That actually reported back last week, and there were pages and pages of recommendations that the government did say it will look at. The author of that report, Dame Carol Black, has said that it needs to be looked at in the round, if you like, have holistic, things to try and solve it. And it should also be seen as a chronic condition. And this is what she had to say.
You won't succeed with everyone, but you don't succeed with everyone with cancer or diabetes or rheumatoid arthritis. But you should do it properly. And what my report is trying to say, please do it as a whole system reform, put the right thing together, and let's give it a really good go. We have never done that. And that's what I'm asking the government to do.
Well, the government says that it is pumping money into the system. £148 million went in January. But charities will say we've had 10 years of austerity. So many cuts were made to communities like addiction services, like mental health services. They say it's just exacerbated the problem. Now, the government does have a long-term drugs strategy, which they will hopefully put together, and we will, be published by the end of the year.
Emily Morgan, thank you very much. Thank you. Jack Grealish's girlfriend says she was sent 200 death threats a day during the Euros. Sasha Atwood first met the England footballer at school. She said she received toxic and scary abuse online from girls as young as 13.
200 death threats a day. I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. So many messages every single day, and I still get them now, all day, every day. I hope you die, I hope you get cancer and die, I hope your whole family dies, I hope the next time when you're in the car you crash it and die, I hope after Wembley you die. It's young girls, I go on these girls' accounts who have sent me stuff and they're literally 13, 14, and it's so sad. I try and put it down to age, but then I think I was never like that at that age. I never sent a message like that. I just think it's so toxic, social media, and it's really sad that these generations are growing up thinking that it's okay to say things like that. And you get it all the time. Oh, I didn't think she was going to see, I didn't think she'd reply. But why are you doing it? Please ask yourself why.
Well, our correspondent Martha Fairley has been looking at the response to that message, and she joins me now. Some really shocking stuff there. What's been the reaction to that?
Yes, well, certainly amongst the thousands of followers that Sasha Atwood has, there have been many supportive comments, just expressing disbelief at how people could send such messages. In her YouTube video, she says that she's been keeping her private life private and she doesn't post about her relationship. But during the Euros, she says things really blew up. And she said while you hear about trolling, she'd never really understood or believed quite how bad it was. But these messages, some of them criticising her appearance, others these death threats, made her very anxious, made her question whether she was going to post on social media again. And she made the comments on YouTube, which she described as a very kind place, but she said that Instagram and TikTok were both toxic. Now, TikTok is reported to have confirmed that it has removed the comments that have been highlighted to it, while Facebook, which owns Instagram, has issued a statement saying we have strict rules against bullying and harassment on Instagram, and violent threats are completely unacceptable. We understand how distressing this is for Sasha and those who have experienced similar abuse, and we're investigating. Now, they also advise people who receive these messages in direct messages, which are private, to report them and also use tools in order to protect themselves and filter out abusive messages. Meanwhile, Julian Knight, who's a Tory MP and the chair of the Digital, Culture, Media and Sports Select Committee, he has also commented, calling for better policing of social media, saying, try as they might to say they are not a publisher and they are not responsible, the social media companies must be held to account for allowing this vile content to proliferate. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom to abuse. It's high time the government got on with proper regulation.
Martha Fairley, thank you very much. Thank you. A new study is being launched to determine what the best gap is between COVID vaccine doses for pregnant women. Researchers are aiming to recruit more than 600 pregnant women for the trial, which will monitor the vaccine's effectiveness and follow the development of children up to 1 year of age. It follows research last week that showed that more than 99% of pregnant women admitted to hospital with COVID are unvaccinated. Let's get the latest advice then from Dr. Sarah Jarvis. Good afternoon. This study is aiming to reassure pregnant women. What do you tell your worried patients about the safety of the vaccine, specifically for their unborn child?
Of course, the first thing I do is to ask them what they've heard, and all too often they'll say, oh, I've heard it's not safe in pregnancy. Actually, that's never been what is said. What had happened at the outset was that the early studies weren't done in pregnant women because we were trying to expedite the studies, get them done as quickly as possible. And that's been translated into it's not safe for pregnant women. This is not a live vaccine. We already very much recommend, for instance, whooping cough vaccination and flu vaccination. And we know that we've now had over 200,000 women vaccinated while they're pregnant with no new safety signals at all, no evidence of any risk to the baby, and indeed antibodies that are passed to the baby, so protection for the baby.
And what are the risks to the mother and the baby if they do get COVID?
Worryingly, the risks from the Delta variant, which of course is virtually every infection of COVID in the UK at the moment, seem to be much greater than with the original variant. In the first wave, about 23% of women who were admitted to hospital were moderately or severely unwell. With the Delta variant, it's 45%. That's nearly 1 in 2. About 1 in 2 women who gets COVID, especially in the last trimester, and ends up in hospital, needs intensive care, and about 1 in 5 of those women will deliver prematurely, and that, of course, carries risks to the baby as well as the mother.
Look, we've spoken to you all the way through the pandemic. I'm just quite keen to find out from your point of view, we're in the middle of this Delta wave. Where do you see we are right now within that?
Have seen a reduction in the number of cases. My concern is that quite a lot of that is down to people deleting the app and perhaps not being notified or not notifying themselves, getting themselves tested. We know that, for instance, in the week to the end of the 21st of July, after things were opened up, there were 45% fewer people clocking into venues than in the week before. Well, that just doesn't make sense if things have opened up. But there is definitely a really good sense that the vaccine gives good protection. It's not 100%, but it's up to 96% protection against ending up in hospital. From my perspective, I'd really love to see young people come forward and get vaccinated, but I think we are in a much better position than we were.
I think we'll take that. Dr. Sarah Jarvis, thank you very much. Thank you. And Scotland's First Minister will set out her plans for lifting most COVID restrictions today. It could see the relaxation of social distancing rules and allowing larger crowds at events from next Monday. Nicola Sturgeon has already said that rules on face covering, on masks, will remain. Finally, back to the Olympics and how some of our heroes have returned home to some very special welcomes. With families, friends and fans not able to travel to Tokyo with them, gold medal winning swimmers Tom Dean and Matt Richards had to wait until they flew home to share their glory. And as Sharon Thomas reports, they arrived back to some huge celebrations.
Well done, Tom. Thank you. The hour was late. The adoration palpable. The medals, plural, savoured with the family who made the sacrifices. Tom Dean was back on dry land in Berkshire last night and stunned at his surprise party after a 6,000-mile journey from Tokyo and astonishing success in the pool. The Maidenhead Marlin swimmer took gold in the 200-metre freestyle and the 4x2 freestyle relay. The welcome home roar was deafening. Then there was the autographs and a phenomenal cake.
I thought seeing my family at the airport was, emotional as it was, and then come back here. I mean, look at this. This is just more than I could ever ask for, and it's, makes me emotional even talking about it.
Over in Worcestershire, Tom's teammate in the relay, Matt Richards, also returned home to a rapturous reception. A hug from Mum.
Oh, we're so proud of you, my love.
Hundreds of well-wishers. And the four-legged supporters weren't forgotten either.
It's a bit different to what you'd expect a normal Olympics to be, but for me, I've got nothing to compare it to. So to me, that was, a normal Olympic experience. But coming home to a crowd like that is definitely something special. I'll never forget that.
I had no idea this was waiting for me, guys. Thank you so much. It means the world, and these are special, but this is more special.
Back on the banks of the Thames in Maidenhead, they were partying until the early hours, celebrating the man who recovered from COVID twice to become double Olympic champion. Sharon Thomas, ITV News.
Oh, such brilliant scenes there. That's all from us for now. Charlene's here with the ITV Evening News. From everyone on the Lunchtime team and from me, bye-bye.